Hi, this is Postgres for MySQL DBAs. My name is Dave Stokes. I'm a technology evangelist for Percona. And in this episode, we are talking about references. Now, what I mean here is where do you go to gain more awareness about Postgres? There's a lot of options out there, and I picked out some that I highly recommend for novices. Well, what do I mean by novices? Well, I expect that most people watching this are experienced MySQL DBAs and they want to explore Postgres. Now, if that's trying to expand their resume or their horizons or just curiosity about how another database system works, I highly recommend that. And that's what this series is for, to help you find your way through Postgres, getting started, installing software, adding users, doing backups, working with the data. And that's why this series is here. And this episode is on references. Here, I mean where you can find help or find some latest developments in the Postgres world. The Postgres world is very wide and very diverse, and there's a lot going on. And sometimes it's hard to chase down the more interesting pieces of what's going on. So in this episode, we're going to look at a handy book that I recommend and some handy websites. Now, I like books. I like the paper interface. I like to be able just to tuck a book under my arm and read at lunch, at a table by myself or under a tree. I really like the interface. And it's hard sometimes to find good, relevant books, and this is one of them. Postgres 14 Administration Cookbook by Simon Riggs and Gianni Cioli. And this is a book by Pact Publishing. They sent me a copy of this. I've had it for 6 weeks, 2 months, and I've been using it almost every day. It is a very handy book, and it covers a lot of material. The authors really need to be there for that. I really recommend reading the security section. This thing has a little big depth and breadth to it, but the security section I really recommend you read through. Also, if you're coming from the MySQL world, the care and feeding of a Postgres database is a lot different than MySQL. So I really, really urge you to go through and read the maintenance and replication chapters, because they're just different enough to drive you up the wall if you're coming from the MySQL world, because things do work differently. And I really recommend anyone who's working in those areas to read this book. And plus, the other thing I like about this book is that if you've read the manual page and you have some questions or concerns, or just want to see some very good examples, go out and get a copy of this book. By the way, if you can't find it in your local bookstore, it is available on Amazon. Now, handy websites. What do I mean by this? Well, these are sites that I recommend that you either monitor or refer to when you get a chance. The first one, I recommend, this is a morning read. It's the analog to planetmysql.com. It's planetpostgresql.org. And it has a lot of interesting features that are constantly updating, just like Planet MySQL. Now, if you're a novice in the Postgres world, a lot of these will be way over your head. Others are going to be right up your alley. And the great thing about this is there's a lot of different stuff all the time. Now, this morning, the first story was how to corrupt your Postgres database. Some of us don't need help in that area, but maybe you're training a new DBA, or maybe you want to figure out how to avoid it by reading this article, or maybe you need to screw one up for some sort of testing for redundancy to make sure that your backup procedures work. So lots of interesting reading here. Also, this one I'm a little reluctant to mention, but on Reddit, there is a Postgres group, and it is entertaining reading. Fortunately, there's a lot of folks out there looking for homework help or the low temperature questions that are out there. But occasionally I see announcements or documentation, or someone has an interesting problem, and it's good to look at this every so often. Another one that I recommend signing up for their weekly service is scalingpostgres.com. Go to the website, put in your email, and once a week on Mondays, at least that's what pops up in my inbox, there's a new episode. They usually have between 9 and 15 stories out there that are all very interesting. Now, the latest one, episode 228, talks about the new Postgres releases. There's also a CVE on privilege escalation and some other topics. This is a great reference to go through and see who's doing what and to whom in the Postgres world. And lastly, Percona has some forums, forums.percona.com. This is a place where you can go out and post your questions and have Percona's experts help you. Also, it's interesting to read through the problems people are having. Maybe you can learn from others' mistakes. Also, if you know the answer, please contribute by answering here. Now, here are those 4 websites without the various backgrounds, make it a little easier to get this. Pause, go check them out, and then come back and hit play again. And with that, I'd like to thank you. If you have something you want me to cover for your next video, please let me know. I'd love to have your feedback. Put it on the video on YouTube or DM me at Stoker on Twitter. And with that, thank you for watching.